Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the SportsTech Allstars podcast. Today, we've got Lauren Pedersen, the CEO of SportAI, on the episode. SportAI is a company that uses AI and computer vision specifically to do technique analysis, and they focus mainly on racket sports. They have just got 3D A-list investors onto their cap table. Lauren talks about that. Plus, describes the solution in more depth. The different types of applications, which I thought were really interesting, not just around technical analysis or training, but also broadcasting and beyond. And we cover a bunch of other stuff, including her favorite sporting moment, which was a nice way to close out the episode. We are now focusing on our VC report. So SportAI is included as one of the feature companies. You can go check them out there alongside a host of others. Plus a lot of great, interesting data in that report. Did you know there were more unicorns in sports tech this year than I think ever before? No more new unicorns, I should say. A lot more data like that and a whole lot more. Go download that report if you haven't yet. All right, go check out the episode with Lauren now. All right, so welcome to the show, Lauren. Good to have you here. We've had a conversation in the past, and I just thought that your solution, which I found so interesting, should be shared with our audience. So, Lauren, tell us about yourself first, your background, and then a little bit about SportAI.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. I'm Lauren Pedersen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SportAI. I love sports and I love tech, so this seems like a perfect podcast for me to be having the chance to be on. I'm from New Zealand originally. I grew up playing lots of sports, as many sports as I could possibly squeeze into a week. But I ended up taking a tennis scholarship to the US, and I played NCAA Division I college tennis all 4 years in Washington, D.C. I started my career working in some of the world's largest advertising agencies, first in New York and then in London. And moved to Oslo, Norway, 17 years ago. And since then, I've been working with startup or scale-up tech companies that are growing internationally, so high-growth tech companies. And SportAI is the first time that I've had the chance to be a co-founder myself, and the first time to be able to really combine my passion for sports with my experience in building tech companies. So that's kind of a little bit of the history that built me up to be the role I'm in today.
And also a bit of an athlete, no? You've spent some time playing some sport.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still play today, right? So, I mean, right. I played tennis, as I said, all the way through and played college tennis. And next week, actually, Ron, I'm going to represent Norway at the ITF Masters World Champs in Tokyo.
Oh, wow. Look at you. So that's exactly my point. So more than just a bit of an athlete, shall we say. All right. Well, best of luck with the tournament. Hope you bring home the medal, the prize, the cup, whatever it is, to Norway. But that's a nice point to segue into SportAI, which I know started with tennis analytics, but has of course expanded into other sports. So maybe walk us through that journey. What was the impetus that made you want to start up and specifically addressing this problem? Or what was the problem and what is the solution that you presented for it?
Yeah, so SportAI, we are delivering AI-powered sports technique analysis to empower businesses around the world to bring this out in different use cases. And really why we started is we saw that coaching, analysis, and commentary on sports technique is very subjective, expensive, and unscalable today. So, an example is if you take a tennis or a golf lesson, pretty much anywhere in the world, it will easily cost, say, $100 and you might have a good coach. But if you had 3 or 4 good coaches looking at my serve, for example, they would all give different feedback and there would be no data to back up the input that they're giving me. And the same goes for the media industry. So broadcast, if you're watching Wimbledon or the Masters Golf on TV, there's a lot of data and stats and ball tracking coming in to kind of engage the audience. But when it comes to technique analysis, so how the body is moving to create that result, you're still totally reliant on the commentator's own subjective opinion. And that's something that we realize that now with the advancements in AI, and more specifically computer vision and machine learning and biomechanical analysis, that we could change. So we could really bring objectivity, scalability to this area of technique analysis within sports, which really drives higher performance for athletes.
And how does it work exactly? So I'm just recording myself with my mobile device, and that's it. Do I need anything else?
Yeah, no. So as long as we can get video of you playing, so that could come from a mobile phone, or it could come from cameras being mounted at the back of courts, which we see is becoming more and more common, or it could be from broadcast feed. So we take in the video, and then we can analyze your technique, so your body movement, using computer vision, and we can compare it to thousands of other players in the world, or just one that you really want to emulate. So if you want to have Casper Ruud's forehand, for example, Ron, then we could make a comparison directly to Casper Ruud, and we could give you immediate feedback and data on how your stroke compares to his, and what you could do to adjust your forehand to make it more like that gold standard.
Yeah, I'm not sure Casper would come out so favorably in that. My forehand is pretty strong. No, it's absolutely not. Let's not go there even. Okay, so we got to set the context. You can take any video feed or any source of video, let's say from your mobile, from any existing cameras that are set up, or interestingly, from even broadcast feeds. So if I'm a junior athlete and I might not have had the camera set up properly, but my tournament was televised, and then that's it. That's all I need to get my to initiate the point of coaching or analysis. Outside of tennis, are there any other sports that you're currently covering?
Yeah, so we've started with what we say racket sports, and really we've started with tennis and paddle. But we're SportAI, so the vision is that we're building up this platform which will spread out to many, many different sports. I mean, it's really relevant for almost all sports because basically wherever you have a situation where players are performing and training one particular technique over and over again to perfect it, that is where we are spot on. So we can pick up that body movement, we can train it and see against different gold standards and give that immediate feedback. And I mean, it used to be really that to be able to do kind of that sort of biomechanical analysis when it comes to technique, you had to have sensors actually on the body, so wearables. And what we see now with the advancements in computer vision is that instead of having these sensors actually placed on the body, we can use pretty much every pixel in the video almost becomes like a sensor that we can track, and therefore compare the body movement from different techniques and train the AI model to understand what is great technique and how you can make those comparisons and give really valuable feedback to players and fans and audiences.
Yeah, and that is super important. I think we're getting to the point, of course, where AI is, I wouldn't say ubiquitous yet, but is playing an increasingly important role in every aspect of sports, whether it's on the athlete to enhance performance, whether it's engaging with fans and let's say understanding them a bit better and then delivering good personalized fan experiences, or on the production side of sports as well, whatever the case may be. So SportAI encompasses a lot. All right, I think we've set the context pretty well for what you guys do. I know you've had some recent wins, including a recent funding round. Can you walk me through that? Because I believe that you've had some pretty famous people making moves on your cap table, shall we say?
Yeah, that's right. We've had a great year. So when it comes to the funding round, we closed around this summer for $1.8 million, and that brought in on the cap table we have Magnus Carlsen, who is the best chess player in the world, 5-time world champ. And it's fantastic actually to have him on board because it's really he has been using AI in the chess world to train for many, many years. And I think chess has been kind of ahead of the game when it comes to using AI for training and for feedback. And what Magnus sees is the same that we see, is that AI will play a role in training and analysis across all sports in the years to come. And that's really where that kind of our like-mindedness came about. And we got Magnus on board earlier in the year. In the recent round, we had Skyfall Ventures also come in, Nordic VC, and they were also really passionate about the case. They could see that it's it's not only bringing in really groundbreaking new technology, but it's a scalable business model. So we're really going B2B in this business model. So we're partnering with some of the largest sporting platforms around the world to be able to bring out this kind of technology and use it in different use cases. So it could be used in that training use case to be able to empower players and coaches with real-time data around technique analysis. But it can also be used with broadcasters, as we've talked about, to bring out visualizations of how, Rafael Nadal's technique compares to Roger Federer, for example, or how Alcaraz's serve has progressed over the years. But it can also be used in a third use case, which we're seeing is really taking off, which is within the equipment brands and retailers to do personalized equipment recommendations. So, for example, if we can get some video of you playing tennis, Ron, we can not only analyze your technique, but we can match that technique up with the catalog of rackets that are available around the world. And that could be one brand, or it could be all the rackets that are available. And we can match it up with specific specs that the brands are really tailoring these rackets towards, and give you personalized recommendations on what would be right for you. So it could be that you're a power player or someone looking for more control or more spin, and we can match up your technique with the rackets that are available to make that user experience much easier to choose which racket to go for and increase conversion rates. So there's some great user experiences here for this technology, and bringing it out B2B enables us to scale and empower some of the biggest brands in the world.
That's a really interesting one, because I didn't think of the commerce layer of application, but of course it makes sense if I can deliver a more personalized experience to even the purchase experience. And as you said, deliver something that is specific to me, then hopefully that improves my game and brings me back to the solution for more. So I can use it to buy my equipment, train, and then with a third one, with the broadcaster one, possibly benchmark myself against maybe not Rafa Nadal and Federer. That might be a bit much, aiming too high, but certainly against, if I'm a junior athlete, against somebody who may be a bit more similar to my game. All right, brilliant. So you talked about the investor side. You are a B2B in a B2B selling or business model, selling model. Any big wins, any big clients that you can talk about here?
Yeah, we were really happy to take on Matcheye as one of the customers we took on this summer. They are, I think, the fastest growing sort of racket sports platform in the world. They're very, very well known at least in Northern Europe, very well known for being the booking app for all the racket sports facilities. And they're growing fast, right? So they've entered into the US. I saw that they've opened some facilities that are running their system in New Zealand even. So they're really international now. And it's fantastic because they not only have this booking app, but they also have Matcha TV, and they've rolled out to over, I think they manage 15,000 courts around the world, and 2,000 of those courts already have cameras mounted at the back of the courts. So this is paddle and tennis courts. And with this cooperation with SportAI, it's going to mean that you're not only going to be able to book your tennis or paddle court, you're also going to be able to get the video of your game, and you're going to get all the analysis and highlights and statistics from your match, and maybe use some AI-powered coaching. So it's really the first in the world that this has been happening, and we see it's just going to be a really cool user experience for players and a new revenue stream potentially for clubs.
Yeah, and that's a big one, and especially obviously, as you said, a very synergistic partnership. I mean, if they have the access to the courts and access to players, and you can provide additional services to those courts and players on both sides, sounds like a win-win for everyone involved. You mentioned paddle, and you can't talk about racket sports today without talking about paddle or pickleball. How far along are you in terms of delivering analytics for those sports? Is it already out there and live? It sounds like maybe through the Matcheye partnership. Is it Matchy or Matcheye? I always get confused. But it sounds like with that partnership, you're already delivering into paddle as well.
Yeah, so we have a solution for paddle, which is a lot around gameplay and statistics and analysis, and that'll be going live with Matcheye shortly, hopefully by the end of the year, which is going to be really, really cool to be able to roll that out on the paddle courts. We have obviously some really cool demos which we can show different customers around technique analysis and tennis, some 3D models, so going from 2D, one video frame, into 3D analysis, so it can really look at a player's technique from all angles, just from one camera feed. So we've got some really cool technology, and that's what we're using in these customer dialogues right now to get more people involved and get them to integrate the technology. So it's going to be an exciting few months coming up now, Ron.
For sure. And what of pickleball? Is that something that's, because obviously pickleball is big in the US, but maybe not so big in too many other parts of the world. I know India is taking pickleball a little bit, but everybody else seems to be favoring paddle. Is that your experience as well, that pickleball is mostly relevant in the US? And therefore, are you looking at it now? Is the US a market that's important or relevant to you guys at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, the US is definitely a relevant market for us. I mean, we're very global. The software is relevant all over the show. For us, we've basically started with tennis and paddle, but of course, with pickleball growing so fast in the US, it's a relevant sport for us. And there's kind of, as I said, there's really no limitation on which sports can start to use this type of technology. I mean, we can track the players around the courts, we can give statistics, we can also look into those technique analysis, which are specific for each sport, and really grow the platform out there. So we're interested to chat to pickleball customers out there, those in the industry that are growing it and really want to make a name for themselves. We're interested in speaking with them as well.
Brilliant. SportAI is open for business. All right. And I want to take a step back and so we've covered a lot about what SportAI is. So I'm going to take a step back to talk about, let's say, the wider sports tech landscape, maybe specific to you as an athlete in tennis. Apart from technique analysis, which is obviously a problem that you are very close to solving or are working on, what are the other areas around a tennis player or even a tennis fan that, or let's say expand that to racket sports player or racket sports fan, that you think are, hey, these are areas that really should and can be addressed by the sports tech ecosystem and need the support of investors as well?
I mean, there are a couple of areas that we're looking at. I mean, one is, I guess, like, our vision is really to democratize access to high quality sports analysis or sports coaching around the world. And what we saw is that today it's really expensive to take personalized coaching, like one-on-one type coaching with a for most sports actually. And there is a huge difference to what kind of coaching and what kind of analysis you can get if you're a pro player, or if you have a lot of money, or if you're one of the top teams or top regions in the world for these sports. You can get a totally different level of support. And I see that, with AI and with new technologies, you can really start to democratize access to that, so that players all around the world, even if you're not in the capital city, or you don't have tons of money, or you're not in the pro team yet, you can still get access to great analysis and great coaching and feedback to really improve your game. And I think this is something that's going to change the sports landscape, so that not just those who have really access to a lot of funding early on in their life will be able to have a chance to kind of level the playing field and get a chance to go out there and compete at the top levels. So I think
Do you
that's
think,
the case.
sorry, go ahead.
No.
So do you think wearables plays a role here? The reason I ask is, or I say wearables not just on the athlete, but also on the actual equipment. We've seen a few companies in and around racket sports that used to have little attachments, whether it's something which sits in the string, at the base of the string or somewhere, or also on the base of the actual racket itself. For some reason, I'm not seeing them break out. We've seen a lot of these solutions maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Some of those companies are not even operating anymore. Whereas in football, in soccer, in other sports, cricket also, maybe there's been a similar issue. It hasn't really broken out these wearables which attach to the equipment. But in football, it has. It's becoming an increasingly important part in other sports as well. Do you see that coming back to tennis? Is that growing in importance? Or is wearables, it just changes, or it impacts the racket too much for it ever to be a factor, and the camera is enough, shall we say?
Yeah, I think there's now an opportunity to skip over the wearable phase within a lot of these sports and go straight to computer vision. We see that cameras are rolling out all over the show, and the fact that everyone has a mobile phone means that everyone has access to camera technology. And that is just much more scalable, what we see today. So instead of having to tailor different equipment with sensors, or have wearables all the time and making these roll out. It's just it's an unscalable and expensive model, which we believe in many cases is going to be replaced with computer vision technology. That said, I mean, I've got an Aura ring. I love it. So I see that there are places where it gives a lot of value to customers as well with wearables. But I think it's going to be has to make sense for the use case. And what we're seeing is that computer vision is becoming so easily accessible for everyone who has a phone or is playing at these sports that are now getting cameras on them, that it kind of just eliminates the need for all these wearables.
Yeah, and I think probably a spot on there that the use case is the most important thing. I mean, with a Whoop or an Oura or whatever smart device you're using, track your personal health or movement or whatever metrics. I mean, there's inherent scale because it's very generic. It sets a baseline. Anybody can use it. The moment you get into specific sports, I mean, football is big enough. Tennis is a very large sport, of course, but is it actually need this kind of solution? Maybe the confines of the space. It's a smaller area. The camera can see everything fairly clearly. It doesn't have to move once it gets mounted over there. Bang! It sees everything that it needs to. Things like that. Maybe those dynamics make the wearable not redundant, but maybe less relevant. Also, then you get into layers of cost of manufacturing and distribution and all of that stuff. As you said, immediately the camera or computer vision becomes far more scalable. All right, so we covered a little bit around opportunity, around, let's say, coaching and how that can get better. Maybe speak towards the fan, as you just as somebody who, of course, probably watches a lot of tennis in stadium, at home. What can tennis do better to engage with you?
Yeah, I watch a lot of sports as much as I can.
Sure, not just tennis. Yeah, fair.
No, what you see is that, I mean, both broadcasters, media companies, they want new ways to engage fans, and fans want it, right? Fans are viewing sports in a different way today than they were before. They maybe are engaged with new data, new statistics, new commentary. They want to be brought into this world, and AI is really enabling this sort of a different level of engagement with this kind of technology. So, as I said, like with SportAI, we are really offering this technique analysis, so you can actually analyze how players are comparing to each other, so how their technique is different. And you can have two great players, right? If you think about Federer and Nadal, they're two world-class, the best players that have ever lived almost. And they can have great forehands, but they're drastically different. And to have that kind of analysis and data behind how they both managed to create such great power and technique, it's something new that the audience, we believe, really is going to engage and love. More than that, I think there's really an opportunity to arm commentators with smart things to say, smart insights that haven't been available before, and to be able to kind of give them new perspectives to bring out to the audience. And kind of on the other side of that, I mean, if I was talking now on kind of top level broadcast, there's also opportunities to bring this into kind of local club level type video streaming and broadcasting, which hasn't been there before. So if you're able to kind of get camera feeds across like local club communities for, lower level sports, and then you can get not only the feed, but you can start to get almost auto commentary, and you can get statistics and data for your local club league, then that's pretty cool actually, because you've got a whole audience out there that's interested in following their neighbors or family or club mates that wasn't possible before. So we see that this technology is super scalable. It can work all the way from the top level broadcasters who are going to bring it in and engage fans with amazing visualizations, all the way to kind of local club leagues.
Speaking of AI commentary, did you catch, because I haven't, I know IBM was with their Watson application was doing a lot of work with Wimbledon, with various other tennis tournaments. I know they do some work in golf and other sports as well, but AI generated commentary. I've seen clips and bits and pieces here and there, but I've not actually, followed a game. Have you done that? If yes, how was it? Have you had any, like, let's say, interaction with AI-based commentary beyond just a clip on YouTube or on some sort of social media?
I think it's just at the very start of this being rolled out. But there's going to be, in a way, no stopping it. And, we see that there is supernatural integrations to LLM type technology to be able to bring out coaching in the tone of a certain coach, or at the level of a junior player or an adult player or a senior or a pro. There's different ways that you can feed it with tone of voice and train it to really understand what makes great sort of sports technique and how you can get players to kind of engage with it. So I think this is this kind of connection into the LLM or sort of ChatGPT type technology is going to really unlock this so that it becomes really relevant for the world. So not only in commentary, but also in kind of coaching and feedback to players and coaches around the world.
Yeah, I think that's super fair. As you said, we were right at the start. Speaking of the start, Lauren, SportAI feels like it's the start of a journey. I mean, I'm sure maybe to you it feels like you've been at it for a while. It always does for a founder. But you've just raised a round, you've got a long way to go. Walk me through what's coming up in the next 12, 18 months for you guys. And also maybe just put out a call to action. Are you maybe not fundraising immediately after, but you're always raising also? But maybe you're hiring, you're looking for partners, you're expanding into new markets. So what's coming up and what do you need? What can our audience provide you?
First of all, we want to get in touch with the most kind of, the most of the companies in the world who are interested in AI and how it's going to benefit their businesses and how it can play out. So it could be the top broadcasters, it can be the top training facilities, federations, academies, teams. It can also be these sports brands or e-commerce, sites that are selling sports equipment. These guys, we've got something that's amazing to show you. And those brands who kind of embrace it first are going to have an opportunity to take it out the market early and really take a position when it comes to this new wave of technology. So first and foremost, we are in touch with a lot of these guys and we want to speak to everyone in the market. When it comes to hiring, yes, we're hiring machine learning engineer right now. So these kind of roles are really interesting for us. So that crossover between a passion for technology and AI technology and an understanding and a passion for sports, those are kind of a crossover which we love to speak to. So those kind of people. And finally, we're not raising right now, but we will be raising next year, I'm sure. So those investors who are interested in understanding more about our technology should definitely reach out.
Fair enough. And then the first part of the question, what's coming up? 12, 18-month kind of horizon, new markets, new products. Where are you guys headed?
Yeah, so we'll be rolling out the first technology with MatchAI in the next couple of months. So that's very, very exciting. Mm-hmm. We'll be taking on some more customers that are very exciting. They'll probably be in some of these segments that I've been mentioning around either equipment manufacturers or retails and broadcast. And then we're also looking into new sports. As I said, we've really started with racket sports because you have to start somewhere. But we've seen a lot of engagement from other sports, and that can be, everything from cricket into other things like baseball and golf and others. So it's a really exciting time, and watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Lauren, thank you so much for taking the time to join us to talk to us about SportAI. You can also, of course, read about SportAI in our latest report, which should be out by the time you listen to this podcast. So go download that report if you haven't yet. Lauren, before I let you go, I have to ask my favorite question. I always believe we're sports fans first. So I want to know, what has been your favorite sporting moment?
Oh, favorite sporting moment. Well, I mean, not that I saw it, but I think it is a great sporting moment when it was the Battle of the Sexes tennis match when Billie Jean King won. That's, a historical moment, which I think everyone should reflect on when it comes to changing women's sports. But in a more recent example, I loved it when Kim Clijsters won the US Open. She came back to win the Grand Slam after having her first kid. And I think these are kind of things that are really inspirational for women's sports. So there's a couple of great examples.
Yeah, good shout. And which is why I like asking the question, because the variety of answers that you get. The Battle of the Sexes, of course, iconic moment. And then I think Kim Clijsters did Justine Henin-Ardenne also do that? I think, did she come back after a kid? I might be confusing. I know Kim Clijsters did it. Serena, of course, famously won it while pregnant. Jesus Christ, talk about a different level. So fantastic examples in women's sports. Thank you for highlighting those and sharing your experiences with us, Lauren. For anybody who wants to get in touch with you, what's the best place to do that? LinkedIn or your email?
LinkedIn or sportai.com.
Perfect. We'll put that in the show notes. Once again, thank you for taking the time, Lauren. Look forward to all the cool stuff that SportAI gets up to.
Thanks a lot, Ron, and thanks for having me.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for another episode. We're bringing you a few startups that were featured in our SportsTech VC report, which has just come out. Also speaking to a bunch of investors. That is how we'll close out the year, focusing on the funding environment. What is the latest in let's say, equity and VC landscape in SportsTech? That's in our report with a whole lot more. Go check it out. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the SportsTech Allstars podcast with Rohan Malhotra. If you like our show, let us know and leave a review. And if you want to know more about us, check out sportstechx.com, where you can find our latest industry reports and updates. For a deeper dive into all things sports tech, check out our comprehensive database, SportsTechDB, at sportstechdb.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us at SportsTechX on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Join us next time for another insightful conversation with a leader in sports tech.